Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We are playing with a Drain Essence Death Knight on hardcore. And last episode we got started and did a little bit of shopping. After that I had another good look at what was available from the vendor and I realized by default you start with the Assault Bag. 5% less damage taken from Ethereals is of course neat but not quite useful. I'd rather have an amulet like this that gives me a little bit more energy regen. Reason I'm keeping this is that all the way in Ultimate there is a quest where you will need a salt bag as well as something like this Sardina's Mementos. I've already stashed up a couple of items here that might not be useful for like another 100 episodes. But no, just having at least one of these things stashed is useful. Also, the materials that I sorted through at the end of last episode, I figured no, we have a boatload of scavenged platings. I now never use them. And same for bristly furs. I have a lot of them and I never really use them. So I figured let's actually use a couple of those early on. And I'll bring along the soul shards, the attuned lodestone and some of the ectoplasms as well as some spare battered shells. Just so I have them with me and I don't have to think about it. Same for scrap. I grabbed a bit of scrap from the stash as well as some of the shards and some spare potions. Simple reason there is quality of life. So I don't have to go back, don't have to buy them, don't have to think about them. We can just grab them. So yeah, let's apply some armor to items that currently don't really have a lot of armor. So that's gonna be chest, arms and feet. So chest and arms. I'll just lift the average armor up a little bit. Feet is also... there you are. The other ones are all right-ish, so we'll just get some extra health from those. Oh, belt is special. Belt, of course. Armor applied to the belt applies to everything. So you want to apply armor there. Other items, let's just put some health bonuses there. And I realize these items are gonna get replaced incredibly quickly. But that is alright. And here we're gonna wait until we get green jewelry to apply our ectoplasms. But this way, we have nearly 400 extra health, we have some extra armor, so we're a little sturdier, which is gonna be helpful for where we're going, and that is into the sewers below town. Into the sewers below town to go after Veloth the Corruptor. Okay. Mouse is a little jumpy today. So these enemies are level 7, that's only one level below me. That's always the early part of the game. It's always neat to just get through it as quickly as possible. Once you get to Burwich, there the enemy levels are, I think they will peak out at about 13 to 15. Okay, getting a little surrounded here, but I was gonna say we're slightly sturdier, but that actually doesn't really help all that much. Enemies still do quite a decent chunk of damage. They're doing less damage now because the armor does protect us a bit better now. On average, we now have 50 armor rather than 25 or so that we had before. So that it makes quite a bit of a difference, especially this early on, because the enemy damage is just going to be so low. It might even be that by default you only have 70% armor absorption, which means only 70% of the damage that is dealt could be absorbed by armor. 30% of the damage always goes through. Could be that is actually what is damaging us right now, because we can't block out everything. But there are some items that allow you to increase the armor absorption. But we don't have access to those yet. So don't have access to it yet, then it doesn't matter. I think eventually from the devotion tree near the end, now once we hit ultimate, we will have access to something. There's a secret here that has hidden spoils today, and a corpse and another corpse. So let's see, what did we just loot? Some extra armor, energy regen, percentage bonus energy regen, and some spirit, which also turns into energy regen. So that's pretty neat. This one is just basic armor, and these are weapons. But this is an upgrade. And that's why I did bring the crafting components with me. I'll just replace it, upgrade it, regenerate a little bit more energy. Allows us to go a little longer without having to drink potions. See all those spiders just marching towards me. Trying to shoot at the corruptions here, that's also kind of fun. They're not even angry at me, they're just angry at the other ones. Interesting, there's... oh, that's some of the zombies shouting. Wait, there's something odd going on here with the enemies and being able to hit them. I think the staircase, the leveling of the staircase makes the hit angles of drain essence a bit odd. Also, you are incredibly sturdy. Okay, that one is just staying down, and level 9. So, last episode we got here to the point where we can start putting points into Spectral Wrath, and oh boy, will we. So, 3 points, boom. So, whenever we get hit now, Spectral Wrath will lash out against whatever hit me, whether it was melee, whether it was ranged, and that's the important part. This also works against ranged attackers. And then whatever hit me, plus all enemies in a currently 2.6 meter radius, and that grows with skill points, they will get hit with Spectral Wrath. And that is a debuff that currently lasts for 3.8 seconds. That is gonna go up with more skill points. And every tick, I think that ticks are about once per second, but it's not documented there anywhere. They will get hit with vitality and ether damage. Their attack speed goes down, their physical resistance goes down, and their vitality and ether resistance goes down. So the damage that it itself inflicts actually goes up as a result of enemies losing their resistances. This is just incredibly powerful for dealing with groups of enemies. Yeah, we'll just see, just the small floating skull over their heads is an indication that they have been affected by Spectral Wrath. And if you just stand here, Spectral Wrath goes up and you see enemies just explode with it. The damage is really, really good. And of course the resistances getting reduced simply means that Drain Essence is going to be more effective as well, since it will do more damage. And more spiders. Spectral Wrath is incredibly useful in boss fights, where of course add-ons will more effectively kill themselves this way. And the more levels you put in, the faster the recharge goes. Right now it's like 2.5 seconds. That eventually goes down to close to 1 second. So it's almost like whenever you get hit, enemies get lashback, and that makes it better than retaliation. Because retaliation only works against melee attackers. And it makes it better than reflect, because it does not rely on the damage of the enemies. It has a fixed amount that scales with my own damage bonuses, which for reflect I don't think is the case. Oh, and we were spending spirit points here. More spirit means more damage, and it means more energy, and it means more energy regen. Spirit for this build is a very useful stat. If at some point we can get some sources of Terrify, then regular mobs are gonna have even less of a chance, since they'll be ticking debuffs from Spectral Wrath. They will be running around terrified like the headless chickens, and they'll get a debuffed or a damage over time dotted from our Drain Essence. And in between all of that, they simply won't have an opportunity to actually try and murder me, which is fine with me. If enemies decide they have other things to do rather than try and murder me, I'm perfectly okay with that. And on the soldier side, once we get Warcry, it has an upgrade that gives enemies a 1/3 chance to be terrified whenever we Warcry at them, which happens once every 8 or so seconds. Which I'll trigger once every 8 seconds. It's not automated. There you go. I could go for Ill Omen. That does actually do a Terrify for 2 seconds. I think I could just spare 1 point for that. That could be fun, especially early on. Though, if you see, no. Spectral Wrath, now putting 1 extra point into Spectral Wrath instead of sparing the point into Ill Omen. Spectral Wrath is probably gonna be the more efficient use of skill points. That's the other thing. It's very easy to think like, just 1 point, won't matter so much. But there's an opportunity cost, because you could be doing something else with it. And here you see bosses have resistances. So we're dealing less damage. Life Leech is something they resist. That makes Life Leech less efficient in boss fights. Which is why having some regeneration as a backup is incredibly helpful for staying alive. But in the end, we did manage to kill it. And I did see we got ourselves a Veloth ring. Monster infrequent only drops from a Veloth. And of course there is a ruined shrine here, which wants an ether crystal. Also gives us the level up, so we can now pick up soldier. Filled up. We should have enough space. Greaves, yeah. So let's see, put that one down, then there's enough space for Greaves here. So level up. So we'll have soldier as our second class, and the first skills don't happen until level 5, no Fighting Spirit, Menhir's Will, Military Conditioning, and after that level 10, Overguard, Shield Training, and Blitz. So I'm gonna ignore the soldier for now, since we have better things to do. And those better things are boosting Spectral Wrath. It's, as I said, I wasn't joking. I wanna max Spectral Wrath way before Spectral Binding. Simply because it murders things so effectively early on in the game. Okay, first point into the tortoise means even more health and defensive ability. And we are kind of done down here. So let's go back up. Maybe this is where Barnabas gets us the bag. In the last episode I was kind of confused why I didn't get a bag yet, but it might be that this was what we needed to do. Yeah, there we are, 1 bag. So we can now carry even more loot. Okay, so we got ourselves a Veloth's ring. Was this actually useful? Acid damage added to melee attacks, bonus acid damage, bonus ether damage. Ether damage applies to our skills. Offensive ability means our hit and crit rate goes up, and of course more crits is gonna be efficient for Hungering Reach, because that boosts our crit damage for Drain Essence, so the more we crit the better. A bit of poison resistance is neat. And Blade Burst is not useful. On the other hand, no giving up health and health regen for just a smidge of an offensive upgrade I don't think is actually worth it right now. So we'll just sell that one. Green diadem. 1.8 energy regenerated per second. I think I like that one. Once we hit level 13, this one is for 12. And I might as well just transfer all the useful items that we're keeping around to the next bag, and this is more gonna be our general loot bag. And energy, marvelous. So just sort that. I do like the auto sort buttons. We got some amulets to drop. This one, same amount of energy regen, but we get some offensive ability rather than physique and cunning. I think we will get a similar amount of offensive ability from the cunning, so this is not worth it. Attack speed, bleed resistance. Bleed resistance, this is quite a bit this early on. So I think we'll grab that one. Just because it appears less frequently, I think. Bit of energy regen, physique, spirit, offensive ability. I like this. I like it enough that I'm actually going to replace the cracked ring over here. So we're actually handing in a little bit of physique. Oh, actually, no, we gained 1% physique. We lost a bit of a health bonus, but 5% spirit. That means more energy regen. Dual resists. Yeah, not worth it compared to the energy regen. And yeah, oh, this one needs to have the armor thing extracted, and for the rest we're good. So we can just sell all the other items with the exception of the components. Wonderful. And then it is time to push forward. Oh, can I have a chat with Captain Bourbon? I think I skipped that at the end of last episode. That's more experience and some reputation. Don't think we... No, see, we're still not even towards friendly. They're just a little wary of me. And we'll just push this one away for disassembling once we have access to it. And that one goes as well. Good. So we can now just travel to the next waypoint, which is over here in the White Mire, and simply push forward. There's treasure on the other side of the river. That's also something I mixed up last time. It happens quite a bit. It is early in the game that I do mix things up. There's the vendor icon. There are a bunch of rovers there. They want Naga amulets. I don't actually have any yet. So I always wanna, or sliff necklaces. I always wanna wait until I actually have 3 necklaces before going there, and as a result I often forget to go there until much later in the game. When all the sliff necklaces are just coming out of my ears. And I simply want them to stop dropping. Or I'll have my character stop seeing them drop. Because I think in reality they still drop, you just don't see them. Because then now in a multiplayer setting or something like that, your party mates will still see them. Okay, just ruin the boxes. So I think this was the cave where another devotion shrine is, which is why I'm entering it. There is something to be said for taking your low-level character through the first 10 waves of the Crucible or the first 20 waves of the Crucible a couple times to get yourself some bonus devotion points. Because you get some in the Crucible, which is a paid DLC for the game, different game mode entirely. But the one thing that you can do there is, if you complete the waves, you get some favor points, and if you get enough favor points, you can actually trade them in for devotion points. And for a character that doesn't have a lot of devotion points yet, you only need like 3 favor points for devotion. And that way, you know, the first 5 or 7 or no, something along those lines points are only going to be 3, and after that the cost goes up quite a bit, and it's not time efficient to really go after them specifically. But the first ones are useful. Okay, this is going to be combat, so let's just take a small step backwards. You might notice that I've been stressing a little less over my energy now. That's of course because I've been focusing most of my gear on boosting my energy regen, and I'm at 12.5 now, so that's the base energy use of Drain Essence covered. So about half of it is now covered, the other half is not. Ooh, this one has a 10% chance on attack to have a Ether Lightning going on. I like it. That's gonna be an upgrade. Shoulder, it's strictly better because it has more armor. Then we can just put some bristly fur on there to not lose our bonuses. And this one, vitality and ether damage, decay, lightning resistance. Losing the ice spike, slightly annoying, but across the board it's probably going to be better. And nope, getting some resists, not a bad thing either. So we restored the shrine, don't forget to spend the point. More defensive ability, and we need less physique for shields, which is useful since that is probably going to be one of the most stat intense gear pieces for a while. So it just makes it easier to equip things. And what's our defensive ability at? 350. Monsters have a difficult time critting, which is good. If they don't crit, they don't get extra damage, which means the damage output of enemies is going to be a little bit more consistent. Ooh, wow, green items all over the place. And one mosquito that's just casually sneaking up on me. I can respect that. Oh yeah, there's at the campfire here, this corpse will always drop a green dagger called Slift Tongue. And ornate strongbox, that is a random spawn. Could also be a regular box. And let's take out the mosquitoes before they try some more. On the other hand, now we do have Spectral Wrath, so they will die trying. Slift Tongue, it's all poison based, but it has an 8% chance on attack to cast a poison bolt, which does a little bit of acid damage and a bunch of poison damage over time in a AoE. So if we didn't have the sacrificial dagger, I would actually have upgraded to Slift Tongue. Simply because it is probably slightly better than what we had before. This one is even better than what we had, so we'll just put it aside. There's a lot of upgrades now awaiting for us. This one also, strict upgrade. So level 12 is going to be like Christmas Day. There's just going to be lots and lots and lots of upgrades. This one is a downgrade. And for now that's good. Purple item, I do like to have purple items over to the side. And here, energy regen, that is the magic word. There's some vitality damage on here, some ether damage. Losing the bleeding resistance. You know what, for this early on, I think I value the resistances a little more, because it's now 7% damage. That doesn't really move the needle. So I might be underestimating things there, because at the end we have a lot of different damage sources. We of course have our Drain Essence, but we also have Spectral Wrath. And we're doing a fair amount of damage with that Spectral Wrath. And a 7% damage boost, that is effectively every 13 points of damage is gonna add one more. And right now, 45 and 67. Another 3 points, it's now 71 and 107. So 7%, it would add something like 10 points of damage to it. So it's not quite bad. But if the damage is already pretty amazing, especially for this early in the game, then I'd rather focus on defenses to make sure we stay alive long enough to actually apply all of that damage. Because it's easy to fall into the trap of just building yourself a glass cannon. Ooh, this is a hat that gives us energy. That means it is an instant upgrade, and we had a bristly fur on there. So we'll just put another bristly fur on there. Like that. Okay. So we do have 3 of the Sliff amulets. So let's backtrack a little bit towards the rovers. Just to have it checked off and have the amulets to stop from dropping. Technically you can now save up the amulets you find on Veteran and use them on Elite and Ultimate, but on the other hand they drop often enough that you might as well just find them again there. It's very, yeah, see, it's shining, but it's not interactable. That's a odd little design decision. You'd expect it to stop shining after you have interacted with it, so it's not distracting and confusing you. Hello there, Toven. Here are the necklaces, and I get a shiny Sliff Primal Ring from you. And you are a vendor. So what does this one do? Energy regen. I like energy regen. Elemental resists. So this is a strict upgrade over the left ring, which only has a bit of physical damage, 30 energy and 0.8 energy per second. The right one has more energy built into it, but it also has some physique and spirit boosts, which the other one doesn't. So gonna put this in, and this is gonna be one of the rings that we'll probably end up using for a while. So this is where, oh, accidentally sold it, that's not useful. Gonna apply our first Ectoplasm to that. And together they boost our energy regen to 19.4. So we're nearly break even in terms of energy usage for Drain Essence, which is where I'd like to be. We did filter through all of the gear we found so far, so what we have we can sell. Do you have anything special for sale? Well, most of the item slots already have something lined up, so it doesn't really matter anymore. So you could, the items I have with some components in them, you could sell them and just not bother with extracting with components, but I like to extract components from gear where possible, just to reuse it, because in the end money is something that you are gonna get more of than you really will know what to do with, whereas components are a little more rare, and some of them you really have to put some effort into grinding them. Okay, this is a bit of a secret bit. If you manage to find the dying Isaac, he'll actually point you towards here for a quest reward. This time we're doing it the other way around. So as I mentioned last episode, I've had it actually happen that on my way into here, I suddenly had 3 of the Rifthound, the large Rifthound bosses pop up here and absolutely murder my face. Isaac Spoilers, level 14, they're also another really nice guaranteed green item early on. But it's also level 12 or level 14 even. There's just so many items here that require level 12 to 14 to use that you end up with quite a collection of stuff that's going to be useful a bit later. It's incentive to level up quickly, of course. This one hasn't been plundered yet. We have corrected that. And I just stick to the top end here and we already see the next waypoint. I think on the other side of the river there was some things to handle. Also some zombies creeping up. Some first cultists here, the Bloodsworn. I think that is actually gonna put the Chthonians on the map. Before that they didn't exist. But of course we are not done with them just yet. And here we have Negan the Withered, who is the last of the three heroes that we need to slay for Hagen. Also, notice that life is actually pretty good here. We're keeping up with the enemy relatively well. Also, there is Milton's Heart, so we actually have to be in this section now. Let's go in via the backside here, rather than going to another waypoint and then walking around. So there's I think there's a couple of houses in places that have different things going on. So there's more Bloodsworn here, part of the Chthonian faction. And there's a trapdoor here that actually takes us to Isaac. So let's say hello to Isaac. I think there's some lore here. Ooh, and some treasure, some boxes. It's funny, he's running away. I don't think I actually have a Terrify effect on me, but he's terrified nonetheless. It's effective, right? So the terrified enemy doesn't attack you. If they don't attack you, they don't deal damage. If they don't deal damage, you have a better chance of surviving. So, missive to the White Mire, Bloodbound. And, ooh, another ornate strongbox. I'll just stand here while all the loot drops and just leech the life out of them. And that's a green, 3 green items. That is neat. Movement speed, offensive ability, health. That's gonna be next to that one. 7% elemental resist, 7% movement, and 5% health. This one is probably slightly worse. Gun, that's not my cup of tea. Green gloves, bit of vitality damage, bit of spirit, elemental resists. Well, there's a lot of things in here that I like. So thank you, dudes. And there's Isaac. Must be something I can do. I already found your stash. Ah, haha, rest in pieces. And then there is no quest reward. If you do it in the other way, in the other order, then I think there is going to be a quest reward. Or at least some experience for completing it. That's you do get rewarded for sometimes doing things in the correct order. Though, if you do things out of order, oftentimes that is something that is accounted for. No, just like there was a dialogue option to say like, hey, I already found it. Waypoint there, here. And even more zealots. So yeah, for the remainder of this episode, I just want to wrap up the Milton's Heart and the Gilius kill quests. And that's probably going to be Milton. Yeah, there's Milton. He's always in one of the houses here. I think it was random which exactly of the houses he was in. Yeah, as you see right now, I'm not really against purple enemies. Drain Essence is not keeping me entirely alive. More points into the skill would help there. But in terms of energy, that's going to be a bit of a tougher sell. And then in one of the houses is going to be Gilius, I think. Oh yeah, and before I forget, more ornate strongboxes. Now sometimes Milton is in here. But now if you like I did. Now I leaned mostly towards the left side here. If you lean more towards the right side, then the kill quests here are gonna be more naturally just automatically resolved for you, since you'll just run into whatever you need to kill by default. Taking out ether crystals is of course a useful thing, because crystals are used in a lot of crafting, and I don't think you ever have enough of them. And it's actually nice that in the Ashes of Malmouth expansion, once you have the Steel Cup District hideout unlocked, there's actually a vendor there where you can buy things like that. But just a couple every time the inventory refreshes. But still, no, it does add up. And I did walk away from a star on the left side, but I spotted things to kill. I couldn't help myself. I'm not even sorry for that. And there we have Gilius, who is just crackling with electricity. And I think either him or the quest reward might get me to 12. Ooh, and our first blue item, the Final March, which sounds a lot like boots. And it sounds like it because it is. Physique, defensive ability, movement speed, physical resistance, slow resistance, level 40. Well, that is pretty neat. Pants, 50 armor, bit of physical resistance, some damage. It's actually not an upgrade. And there's a little bit of ether damage, that would be alright, but I think this one is just slightly all around better. So Milton is gone, the other things are gone. We have unlocked the next waypoint. So let's return to town, hand in the quests, and do some selling, and then call it the end of an episode. So there you go, Hammond. I feel vindicated. Righteous. So he really likes it when you describe it that way. So next on the kill list are Barros and Hagra, who we will be able to find in the Mouldering Fields on our way to Burwich, which I think is next episode or the episode after that we run into it. Might as well just sell some of the rubbish we've been running into so far. Milton's Cask, that looks fancier. Also, well, anything is an upgrade over what we had, so let's just do that. Do have a lower block chance, block more damage. A bit of resistance and physique is useful. As I said, this one was not an upgrade. And this is for 2 levels now. Milton's Cask. It's, of course, the reduced skill recharge to Blitz is neat. A bonus to Overguard, bonus to Blitz. This is actually not a bad one, because it does boost our soldier skills, the early soldier skills a bit, but it does require quite an investment into soldier. That I don't think we're gonna get to it until between level 15 and 20, at which point this is probably gonna be just outdated, and it doesn't recharge energy, which, well, I care quite a bit about. So let's have a chat with Sybil Hart. I think we're gonna get an amulet from you. Oh no, it's a ring. Oh no, it's an amulet. It just looked like a ring. Health regen and health instead of energy regen. Sorry, but not good enough. But we did gain a level, and I do care about that. It's a decent amulet, but I care about my energy. So one more point that maxes out Spectral Wrath, which is not quite bad for a single episode. Strong Temptation to also max out Spectral Binding early. The bonus to ether damage is of course gonna be useful. Bonus to health is useful, offensive ability is useful. But I also want to grab a decomposition, so I'm actually just gonna spend 2 points, go there, so next episode we can actually get there. And then, now this will add another 12.5 energy cost per second to our Drain Essence, which currently stands at 25. Energy regen is 19, actually With that one, it's nearly 20. So now adding more on top just makes it more... actually gives us something to spend our energy on again. I think I said this was an upgrade. These boots were an upgrade. This is just old. These are old. They all need to go into the box. We have... Oh yeah, I wanted to check out the new axe. So we have Ether Lightning here. And this one didn't have a proc. Oh, new shield. Yes, please. This one is already primed. Whenever we block, we get a seismic blast. 18% block chance, which has been increased by the battered shell. So 28% chance to block. And then, whenever that happens, 8% chance again. So 1 in every 12 blocks will trigger a nice knockdown effect for enemies. Which will be neat. So I'll just clean that up, put things in the stash, and that's going to be it for now. So I'm going to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time as we move closer and closer towards Burwich Village. Bye bye.